The fire was dying. Its glow flickered weakly against the wooden walls of the cabin, casting long shadows that moved like ghosts in the night. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the distant cry of something wild. I kept my eyes closed, my breathing slow, steady. He thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. I had learned long ago that sometimes pretending was the only way to survive. His name was Elias Boone, a quiet man, too quiet, the kind of man who didn't speak unless he had something worth saying, the kind of man who watched more than he talked, and the kind of man you never fully understood. 3 days ago, I had trusted him with my life. Tonight, I wasn't sure if that had been a mistake. It had started on the road to Black Hollow. I was traveling alone, something most would call foolish for a woman in the West, but I didn't have a choice. My father had died weeks before, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and enemies I didn't even know existed. I was trying to reach Black Hollow, trying to find answers, but trouble found me first. They came at dusk, 3 riders, faces hidden, intentions clear. I remember the fear, the way my horse panicked, the way my hands shook as I tried to hold the reins, and then gunfire. Fast, precise. By the time I turned, 2 of them were already on the ground. The third didn't last much longer. That was when I saw him. Elias. He didn't say much, didn't ask questions, just looked at me once and said, "You shouldn't be alone out here." I should have been afraid. Maybe I was, but compared to what had just happened, he felt like safety. So I went with him. That was my first mistake. The cabin we stayed in belonged to him, small, hidden deep in the woods, far from any town. Safer this way, he had said. I believed him. At first. The first night was quiet, too quiet. He gave me food, a place near the fire, and a blanket. Kind, simple, almost gentle. But something felt off, not in what he did, but in what he didn't say. Who were those men? I asked him. Trouble, he replied. That's not an answer. It's the only one you need. I didn't like that, but I let it go, because I needed him. The second day passed in silence. Elias left in the morning, returned before sunset, said nothing about where he'd been. I watched him more carefully after that. The way he moved, the way he avoided my questions, the way his eyes never fully relaxed. He wasn't just a man living in the woods. He was hiding something. And tonight, I found out what. It started after midnight. The fire had burned low. The air had grown colder. I had closed my eyes hours earlier, pretending to sleep, but sleep never came. Something didn't feel right. And then, the sound. Soft, careful. Elias moving. I kept still. Through barely opened lashes, I saw him step toward the door. He paused, looked back, at me. I forced my breathing to stay even. After a moment, he turned away, opened the door quietly, and stepped outside. I waited. 1 minute, 2. Then I stood. Silently, I moved to the door, just enough to see. And that's when everything changed. There were men outside. Not 1, not 2, 5, armed, waiting. My heart slammed against my chest. Elias stood among them, not fighting, not warning me, talking. "You're late," one of the men said. "Had to be careful," Elias replied. Careful? About what? About me? I felt something cold settle deep inside me. "She's inside," one of the men asked. Elias nodded. "Does she know?" the first one said. "No," Elias replied. That single word hit harder than any bullet. No. "She's headed to Black Hollow," one of them continued, "just like her father." My breath caught. "Father?" "She doesn't know what she's carrying," the man added. Carrying? What were they talking about? Elias was quiet for a moment. Then, "We take her at sunrise," he said. Everything inside me went still. Take me? Like I was nothing more than a task, a delivery. "You sure you want to do this?" one man asked. Elias didn't answer right away. And for just a second, I thought, maybe I was wrong. But then, "It's already done," he said. And just like that, the truth settled in. I had trusted the wrong man. I stepped back from the door, my mind racing, hearts pounding. Think. I needed to think. Running wasn't an option, not with 5 armed men outside. Fighting? Impossible. So I did the only thing I could. I went back to the fire, laid down, closed my eyes, and waited. Because now, the game had changed. He thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. And this time, I was ready. The door creaked open some time later. Soft footsteps entered. Elias. I didn't move, didn't breathe differently, but I felt him there, standing over me, watching. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, quietly, "I'm sorry." The words were barely more than a whisper, but they changed everything. Because that didn't sound like a man without doubt. That sounded like a man already lost. And that was when I made my decision. Morning came slowly, the sky pale, the air cold. I sat up before he could wake me. "You're awake," he said. "I couldn't sleep," I replied. That wasn't a lie. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "We leave soon," he said. "Where?" I asked. "Black Hollow." I held his gaze. "Good," I said. He looked surprised. "Why?" he asked. "Because that's where I'm going." Silence. Then something shifted in his expression. Something uncertain. "You don't understand," he said. "No," I replied quietly. "I do." And for the first time, he looked afraid. Because I wasn't the same girl he had brought here. Not anymore. He thought I was asleep, but I had seen the truth, and now everything was about to change. Morning didn't feel like morning. The light that slipped through the cracks of the cabin walls was pale, cold, almost lifeless. It didn't bring comfort, it brought clarity. I sat by the edge of the fire, staring into the fading embers, replaying every word I had heard the night before. "We take her at sunrise. She doesn't know what she's carrying." My fingers tightened slightly in my lap. They thought I didn't know. They thought I was still the frightened girl they found on the road. They were wrong. Elias stepped outside just after dawn. I watched him through the corner of my eye, careful not to seem too aware. He moved differently now, not like a man hiding something, but like a man carrying a weight. Good, let him carry it. I stood slowly, brushing dust from my dress, forcing my expression into something calm, almost soft. "You said we're leaving," I called toward the door. He paused, only for a second. "Yes," he said, "we should go before the trail gets busy." Busy. There was nothing accidental about that word. I stepped outside. The air was sharp, fresh from the night. The trees stood tall and silent, their shadows long across the ground. And there, just beyond the clearing, I saw them, the men. Not close enough to alarm anyone who didn't know, but close enough, waiting, watching. My heart beat faster, but my face didn't change. "Your horse is ready," Elias said, handing me the reins. Our fingers brushed for just a moment. He pulled back quickly. Guilt. So he did feel it. Interesting. We rode in silence for a while. The forest slowly gave way to open land, the trees thinning until the horizon stretched wide and unforgiving. "You're quiet," Elias said finally. "I'm thinking," I replied. "About what?" I looked ahead. "About trust." The words landed heavier than I expected. He didn't respond immediately. "Out here," he said after a moment, "trust can get you killed." I almost smiled. I'm starting to understand that. By midday, the sun burned high above us. The land had turned dry again. Dusty trails, scattered rocks, nothing but endless space. "Water," Elias said, nodding toward a small stream ahead. We stopped. As he dismounted, I watched him carefully. Every movement, every glance. He wasn't watching the land anymore. He was watching me. Good. That meant he knew something had changed. "Drink," he said, kneeling by the water. I stepped closer, but didn't kneel. Instead, I spoke. "You are going to hand me over." The words cut through the silence like a blade. Elias froze. Slowly, he looked up. "What?" he said. I held his gaze. "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't lie to me." The wind moved between us, carrying dust and tension. "You think I didn't hear you? Last night, outside the cabin." His face hardened. "You should have stayed inside. And I should have told me the truth." Silence. Long, heavy. Finally, he stood. "They would have killed you if I hadn't stepped in. So you decided to sell me instead?" "I didn't sell you." His voice rose for the first time, then dropped again. "I was buying time." I laughed softly, not amused. "That's what you call it?" "They're not just outlaws," he said. "They're working for someone bigger, someone who wants what your father had." "My father is dead," I said. "Exactly, and whatever he left behind, they think you have it." My chest tightened. "Do I?" I asked. He hesitated. That was answer enough. "I don't know," he admitted, "but they believe you do." "And you?" I asked. His eyes met mine. "I didn't care at first." At first. And now? He stepped closer. "Now I do." The honesty in his voice shook me more than the betrayal, because it felt real, and that made it dangerous. "You should have told me," I said. "I couldn't." "You didn't." Another silence. Then, "We're not far from Black Hollow," he said. "If we move fast, we can reach it before sunset." "And them?" I asked. "They'll follow." "Of course they would." "Then let them," I replied. That caught his attention. "What?" I stepped back, my expression calm now, clear. "You said they want something from me." "Yes." "Then we stop running." He stared at me. "You don't understand." "No, you don't understand." I reached into my satchel. His hand moved instantly toward his gun. "Easy," I said. Slowly, I pulled out a small, folded piece of cloth. Inside, an object. Old, worn. Elias's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" I said quietly. "The reason my father died." He stepped closer. "A key?" he asked. I nodded. "To what?" I met his gaze. "To everything." The truth settled between us like thunder before a storm. "They were right," he said. Yes, they were. And now, so was I. "I knew they were coming," I said. His eyes widened slightly. I didn't run to escape them. Then why? He asked. I stepped closer. To lead them. The wind picked up, dust rising around us, straight to where this ends. Elias stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. You're not who I thought you were, he said. No, I replied. I'm not. By the time the sun began to fall, we reached Black Hollow. The town stood quiet, too quiet. They're already here, Elias said. I nodded. I know. We stepped forward together. No more lies, no more pretending. This time, we faced it head on.